Hi, Rose here. This is going to be one of my personal videos, so if you just want the facts about things and you just want the information that I found out, well, this video is not going to be for you. I'm just going to share some stuff that I remember because I guess I don't know, I'm hearing all this huge thing about the latest August 2024 Watchtower. Yes, they skipped it. FYI, I Snapchat it, whatever is it? What is it? I screenshot it so that I had proof. They skipped it. They skipped August, and then they finally put it up. I don't know. Are they doubling down on shunning? What are they doing? But anyhow, the big thing about removing somebody from the congregation, well, guess what? They went from disfellowshipping to being no longer one of the congregation to being now removed from the congregation. So I'm going to tell you what I remember. I'm going to tell you the first time I remember somebody being disfellowshipped in my congregation. I was really, really young. And I remember her name because they announced her name and what she got disfellowship for, fornication. And that made a huge impact on me. But it hasn't changed. The one thing that has changed is they don't say the name and what the person did. And guess what? Because it was a defamation of character and they got sued. So lawsuits, and that's what made them change. That's the only thing that made them change. Holy men, making decisions. So I guess the only really big difference from when I was a kid is they don't say what the person is disfellowshipped, removed, no longer one of Jehovah's Witnesses, however they want to announce it. They don't say why that person. But usually about a week later, there's a talk on local needs. Or there used to be. Honestly, I haven't been to a meeting in a while. But the big change I remember is not having to pay at the counters anymore. Not having to pay the money. And not having to charge at the door. We weren't charging for the magazines. Okay, when I was really little, it was 10 cents. And as I got older, it changed to 25 cents. And oh my goodness, do you know how big of a difference that is? That's over double the price. Who pays for over double the price? And we were asking for subscriptions back then. So our subscription price over doubled. Or did we stop doing subscriptions? Maybe I should look into that. I can't remember. But we did sell subscriptions to the Watchtower magazine and to the Awake magazine. And you would receive 2 copies every single month. So they got rid of us paying for the articles. And they got rid of us charging at the doors. But for the longest time, we felt guilty they guilted us into actually paying for what the magazines would cost us. So how many magazines we picked up, we felt, or I did, and I felt guilty to put that amount of money into the contribution box, what I would have asked at the door. But then they changed to donations like they do now, where you have to pay a monthly amount. Every publisher is worth, did you know this? Every publisher is worth a dollar amount every time they walk into the Kingdom Hall. So what you're basically doing is paying for admission every time you walk through the door because that's what they do now. That's another change. See all these changes you start to remember. But one of the biggest changes I remember is the 1914 generation teaching in 1984. I remember what I was taught. I remember what my grandparents were saying. I remember what everybody who was older in the congregation was saying. But they changed that. And it kind of made sense because it was kind of an overlapping. Those who lived while those who were alive in 1914 were alive. It made more sense then. At least the overlapping generation made more sense then. I mean, can you explain it now? Seriously. I want any witness to explain this new overlapping Fred Franz generation teaching to me. Jesus said the one generation. Now you take a picture and you have a great grandma, a grandma, a mom, and a daughter, even her daughter. What is that? 5 generations? How can they make all those generations turn into one generation? They've literally made up their own definition for the word generation. And they kept changing it. They changed it in 1995. They changed it in 2008 to the anointed, which was completely off. Oh my goodness, I can't even say how changed it was from what they were teaching from the wicked, those of the days of Noah. And that's what they changed it. They changed it from Noah's day to the anointed, and then the overlapping anointed. And again, I'm going to ask. I put it out. I've done that. I've thrown the gauntlet out. Anybody explain this new overlapping generation? Make it make sense by using the Bible and not the word salad that you get from the men on top. Okay? Be able to do that. That was another change. And then we had Gog of Magog. Oh my goodness, I can't even tell you. I freaked out. I'll put that link down in the description for you. It's kind of funny. I mean, it was in real time, so anyhow. Let's not forget the fact that you separated yourself from the publishing company in 2000, because the governing body used to be the president, the vice president, the secretary. They had to be on the board of directors, because only the anointed could be on the board. But that changed too in the 90s. And then they separated themselves in 2000. And then guess what? In, 2010? I think it was 2010, 2013. I will show you. They all of a sudden became the faithful slave. It was them, the men at the top, then serving. It was different. Those men were different than they are now. That happens. You'll see. Just, stick around for a few years. And I'd never do that before, because let me tell you, before, 2010, you didn't know who the governing body were. You literally, I had never heard a governing body speak before Stephen Lett in my life. In my life, I didn't know who they were. I mean, I knew a couple because we knew them personally. But, that was unique. That was very unique. You did not know who the governing body were. They were holy men in New York that sat around the table and read the Bible all the time. But guess what their new light was around 2010? They became the faithful slave. And I can't explain to you how big of a difference that was, because the faithful slave used to be all of the anointed around the earth, which didn't make sense. How were all of them supposed to get together and give us information? But you just made it make sense. But now it's just those men, and it wasn't the same men because a couple of them died. And that's what you're going to find out. Like I said, the longer you're in, the more different people you see, especially now that they've got, popular on their broadcasts and updates and videos on the conventions and all. Oh my goodness. Videos at the conventions. Dramas. We had live dramas. And that was actually kind of cool because it was in 3D, not up on a screen. And it wasn't these really poor actors. You couldn't really tell because, they were way up on the stage and everything. But oh my goodness, to be able to be in a drama was my life's dream. My life's dream. But yeah, they got rid of dramas. Heck, they're getting rid of large conventions, which were district assemblies. I still have problems with that word. Around 2008, 2009, we went from district assemblies to district conventions, which was not okay with me. But yeah, district conventions. And then we went from district conventions to regional conventions. And now it's regional conventions? No, it's district assemblies. It was district assemblies my entire life, and it's going to be district assemblies. I get looks. I'm like, whatever. See, you got to keep up with their terminology. Society, organization. It used to be the society. Remember the society boys? The guys at Bethel? It was very rarely a woman would be welcomed back. I mean, to type, to clean. I think maybe that's all they do still. Oh, act. They act. Oh, did you know? You have to literally, what are those pictures that they do where, actors do these portraits and then they give them out. The society has them do life-size pictures. Sends them headshots. That's what they're called. Headshots. They want body shots too. Because, you've got to look good on screen. But can you imagine 10 years ago, the society, I'm just going to say it, the society asking for actors and actresses within the congregations? That's part of your sacred service, is to go back east and act. See? Changes. And now everything is on your phone or on your iPad. I remember when the CDs first came out. That was way before we had the internet. We had the CDs. And everything, well, I thought everything. Who knows now? I should go check. Everything was on the CD. So you would slip that CD in and it would come up on the screen and you would print the scriptures out for your Watchtower study. And guess what? You got in trouble for that. You were not supposed to print your scriptures out. You were supposed to bring your Bible and be able to turn to the scriptures in real time. Who brings a Bible to the Kingdom Hall anymore? You bring your phone and you bring your iPad. Okay, and let me ask you another question. How quick are you, if it comes to a real Bible, to turn to a scripture? If I asked you to turn to Joel, if I asked you to turn to Titus, Jude, John, can you do any of that? How fast are you? Or do you just want to push buttons now? Oh, and another thing that they do, look at the scriptures. We used to, when we would take our Bibles to the Kingdom Hall, we would open up the Bible and we would be able to see the entire scripture. Before, after, previous chapter, after chapter. And now you look at the verses they want you to see. That's it. Oh, but they'll put a couple of other translations, but those are the translations that they accept because it goes with their Bible translation. And don't get me started there. Anyhow, I'm sure that I've missed a whole bunch of changes. But they do the changes. They continue to change. They continue to change with the times. Whatever the times are, they roll with it. I know there are so many PMOs out there. I wish, don't we all wish there was a way to count them? But let me tell you, Watchtower, let me tell you something. We're becoming a strong army. And the governments and the courts are starting to back us. We're getting support. We're getting a lot of support. So either you change what you do when it comes to shunning, when you cut people off from their families, when you try to change the words because you're in trouble with the governments, but it's the same thing. If you remove somebody, if you disfellowship somebody, if you mark somebody, that person can't talk to anybody anymore. They're cut off. We're not supposed to associate with them. Bad association and rotten fruit and all. So, change. And while you're at it, change your unbiblical stance on blood. How many people have been killed because of your unbiblical stance that Nor and Franz came up with because of their personal opinions. Do some research. Do some research. Look in the Bible. Remember, we got rid of the Mosaic law when Jesus died at the stake, so why are we doing that anymore? Oh, and if you say Paul, who is he talking to? He was talking to the Jews. What did the Jews have? They had very strong feelings because they were Israelites. They belonged to the law. They were under the law of Moses. So, of course, blood is going to be just gross to them, like you have made it to us. So Paul said, I'm going to become like you. So, don't do blood. That was the only stance. That was the only one. Where else is it? Where else? Ugh. So many people have died because you changed your stance. You changed your opinion. Men changed their opinion. Okay, I'm still blabbing. I blab, but that's okay. It's my channel, and I get to blab. Take care, everybody. I mean it. I mean it. There's so many of you out there. So many of you hurting. We're here for you. We're giving you virtual hugs. We are supporting you. We understand your pain. And those aren't simple words we say when we say we understand your pain. So, you take care and you stay strong and you do not let those men in New York win. They are not worth it. Take care. Oh, and thanks for watching. Listening.